Arkansas cannot shoot threes, but they do move to 9-0 after defeating Charlotte 66-86. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. Let's break down Arkansas's victory over Charlotte. But I mean, I guess it's hard to whine or complain, and I wonder if people that listen to this or watch this think like, man, these guys are pretty pessimistic. I was thinking about this as Arkansas improved to 9-0, and they're one of like 10 teams in the country that are undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, these guys are pretty pessimistic. They do a lot of griping. I want to say, like, first of all, that being 9-0, it's you can't complain about being 9-0 too much. Like it's easy to not be 9-0, and Arkansas not playing incredible sometimes has found a way to be 9-0. So that's really good. I think that you have to preface some of the times that we're like critical, which is just kind of the way that we're bent on what your expectations are for the team. And so if I didn't think that this was a tournament team, a deep tournament run team, if that wasn't the kind of team I'm anticipating it being, then it's a little bit of a different thing. You know, if you were coming in and didn't have very high expectations for the season, you might be just all giddy about what you got going on. And I am very excited about going on because I think we got a lot of good things going on. That being said, the way that I'm going to start this by saying, as well as Note is playing, and I think he played just about flawlessly tonight, with the exception of outside shooting. Devo Davis has looked great the last 3 games. Jalen Williams is a fantastic ball player that any team would want on his team. And I thought Chris Lykes was good tonight too. All that being said, we cannot shoot the ball from outside. Now, we're not taking a lot of outside shots. Arkansas finishes 3 of 13. 13 is not that many 3-pointers to take as a team, like in this day and age at all. So you can kind of tell that they know that that's not where they're going to butter the bread. But dude, 23%, 3 of 13. One of them that went in was late and just like run the clock down and you shoot one because you got to get a shot up as a shot clock code. That one goes in by KK Robinson. But overall, like really, really nice performance, especially a lot of individual performances that are really nice. I love how gritty this team is. This team, it's kind of funny that I think if anyone that was listening to this like knew us and the kind of basketball players that we are, this is the kind of team that I want, like a team that beats teams on the boards, a team that plays crazy defense and makes the other team miserable, turns the other team over, no second chance points for the other team. That's all the stuff I want. But I also know that when we start playing different competition, we don't have to be a fantastic 3-point shooting team, but we got to be better than 3 of 13.
Yeah. We missed recapping the last game because Dan was in California, but this game bookending that game and the game we did before, all 3 of these games were almost identical. I mean, different players did well, and there was positives and negatives to those games.
This competition was probably the best out of those 3.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like the feeling of the game was very similar, which was you could tell right off the jump that we were better than that team. We had better athletes, and our team, and like I said, I haven't quite figured out if it's because we don't shoot a lot of threes, but we have a hard time putting teams away because other teams are hitting not a ton of threes, but they're hitting more threes than we are, and we're not hitting hardly any, basically none. And it's just harder to put a team away in, with shooting free throws and layups, and when you get, you can score 4 times in a row and get 4 defensive stops, and they literally go down and hit 1 3, and the lead just doesn't balloon that fast like it does when you have lots of guys knocking down back to back threes. And
Yeah, well, it's
all
more of a slow, steady thing, because where other teams might bury you with threes, we bury you with offensive rebounds, and it's a slower process of putting you under the ground. So some teams can hit 5 more threes than we do in a game, but we're going to get 15 points off of offensive rebound stickbacks, and it's
yeah,
just going to be a longer slog doing that.
and you notice for us, it's a big deal that we don't turn the ball over because of that, because we don't just blow teams out with shooting, and the offensive onslaught is a more of a slow, steady pace. If you turn the ball over a few times, it just kills you. You know what I mean? Your 9-point lead immediately, you turn the ball over a couple of possessions and it shrinks back down to 4, and then it's like now you kind of have to. And I think this is what I'm noticing is with a 3-point avalanche, you can just bury teams and you just suck their will out of them. You know what I mean? Like they're playing as hard as they can. They're trying to rebound. They want to compete with this team that's, a higher caliber team. And when that team just buries you with threes and immediately it balloons to 17 points, not only does the lead grow fast, it also feels insurmountable. It's like, well, now we're down by 17. We couldn't beat these guys anyway, or we were going to struggle to. How are we ever going to be able to stop them enough times if they keep shooting like this? It just sucks the hope out of the other team. Whereas if you get that 10, 12-point lead, and like I said, then you turn the ball over or they hit a 3 or 2, and that goes back down to 7, it keeps that hope in that other team. And it makes them continue to play desperate and hard. You know what I mean? So like we're not.
Yeah, you start believing like we just got to block out more. We just got to keep them off the glass, like things that you feel like you can do. Now nobody's done it on Arkansas, but you feel like, man, we could do that if we could just get together here, block some dudes out, not give them those second chance points. Don't turn the ball over and let them run the breaks. Because that's what Arkansas wants to do. They want to beat you by beating you up on the glass, and they want to turn you over and score in transition. That's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said, I've been trying to figure out why we're beating teams, and in some cases we're beating them at the end by what you would expect. The last game is the exception, where it was disappointing that we never buried that team, and they were, even in the last 5 minutes, they still had the hope. You know what I mean? It's like, but we don't get the 15 to we don't maintain the 15 to 17 to 20-point lead to the long enough or early enough to break the other team's spirit and just be able to put in the bench players, and everybody knows this game is resolved. You know what I mean? And so we're constant. All these teams, even though they're inferior, have felt like in the last 10 minutes, this team still thinks they have a shot. And it's because it's only a 7-point game, or it's only a 9-point game. And it's like, they can see and taste that if I just hit a 3 or 2, we could maybe steal this thing. You know what I mean? And that might come back to bite us at some point, because some team may hit a couple of threes and may turn the ball over, and they may, steal one from us. But as a fan, it's fun because all of these games have been still competitive in the last 8 to 5 minutes. Seems like we haven't. It hasn't become a sure thing until the last 2 minutes of a lot of these games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
which is annoying, but it's also,
it makes all the games more interesting. Yeah, all the games are more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But what's weird about Arkansas is that they don't shoot the 3 well, at least not this team. But they score a lot of points. Arkansas it's not like Arkansas is one of those teams that has a half court offense and they're going to beat you 56 to 49. That is not what Arkansas does. Arkansas is going to score 80 points on you.
Well, that's what I'm like. The whole thing is kind of, this is why I don't think that we're being pessimistic. It's because I think this team is unusual. It is weird. They're winning in a weird way and they're playing in a weird way. And it's, as a person, observing the basketball, it feels like it's frustrating and it's a little bit dirty. And it's a dogfight and they're not shooting well and there's some turnovers, and it feels like even our defense feels like at times it has lapses, but then you look up and you're ahead by 8, and it's halftime, you're ahead by 8 to 12 points, and you have 43 points, and it's like, I don't know what you really want. You know what I mean? Because I remember plenty of times and Mike Anderson teams and stuff, it was like literally like 23 points at halftime.
Mhm.
And you're like, dude, we've scored 4 field goals in like 11 free throws or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it is, but I don't think it's just like us. I think this is a strange team that the games feel uglier than you're used to, even though, like I said, the outcomes are exactly what you would want. I mean, you end up winning by 15 to 20 points, and you scored 80 to 100. You know what I mean? And
Well, the
if
fact
you
that they're scoring that many points lets you know that it's not that the team has trouble scoring. Now, sometimes it looks like they do, but they obviously don't, because they're scoring plenty of points. They are shoot they other if you take away the 3-point percentage, they shoot a good percentage from the floor and stuff. This team makes shots. This team gets buckets. They just get a lot of 2-point buckets. A
yeah,
lot of them.
it feels honestly like the NBA in the early 90s, like those Bulls championships. Like they take, you take 7 threes and you make 2 to 4, and everything else is feeding the post and taking jump shots.
And driving. Yeah. And I would say this, I think the ball movement has gotten better and better. There's a lot of really nice ball movements tonight. There's some that wasn't, which happens in every game, but I've been impressed with Devo. I think that he's figuring it out, and
He
he's
looked
starting to.
way more fluid this game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he got that.
he's a problem. If you just spread the floor and you run the clock down, I mean, Devo can take a guy.
He looked so much looser, dude. I'm telling you, like last season when he was starting to get his swagger, that's when I said, like, dude, that guy looks like he's got that body and that movement like Jordan. Now, I mean, I didn't mean, not that he's gonna be that good, but like he has that, like, he's long and fast at the same time, and he just has that, like, that movement that feels like Jordan's athleticism. I was like, man, he could still have a lot of room to grow. And in the beginning of the season, he looked so stiff, and he just wasn't moving very well, and he seemed trepidatious with all his shots. And this was the first game. I mean, and one time it came and bit him in the ass, but like he was actually like catching the ball and then like doing this like leg up thing. He did it twice where he was like, "Oh, am I going?" And then like, as he's going to do his crossover, and the one time he turned the ball over, like it didn't even make any sense to do it. Like, I think we should have probably held the ball at that particular time. But yeah, I think he's just, I don't know what was, like, if he was just a slow start or whatever, but he seems like he's doing a lot better. I think
it's just him when he's so right now when he's on the floor, he's the point guard, and that just wasn't the case for him last year. I mean, you had Tate, and Tate played point, and Devo just didn't have to do that. And I think that he's still a young guy, and he was having to figure that role out. To me, it looks like a guy who's like, he's starting to figure it out, and I don't think Devo is a selfish ball player at all. I think he's a guy that wants to win and wants the team to do well, and I think he probably shouldered the burden of you're going to have to play the point guard spot this year, and he took it seriously to learn it, but it's also a lot of pressure, and I think we got to see sort of the process of him trying to figure out how do I do that? Like, how do I play the point guard? How am I the guy that's making the offense work? And but I definitely think that you have seen steps in that direction. I thought I think he played great. I mean, I'll tell you what, I don't know how you couldn't be just extremely impressed with the transition that Note has made from the last, his first year here, then last year being 6th man and just being a guy that just came out there and just shot the ball like crazy. And now, like, he's playing just about perfect basketball.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, he hasn't taken one of those ridiculous crazy shots in like 4 games, and he's actually earned a couple of them with his defense and stuff, where he actually had a right to maybe jack one up there. He's being very patient. Like I said, we didn't get to talk about the last game, which I think was one of his lowest scoring games. But
Mhm.
like I thought he played great that game. He stepped back, and he's been these last 3 games. He's been extremely patient, not overextending. I mean, like tonight, it was even the shots tonight. It just felt like they came. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like he wasn't pressing it, he wasn't forcing it. And the other nights, other people were hot, and he just sort of decided, played defense. And I actually, like I said, optimistic all the way around. I mean, it's a shame we didn't get to talk about the last game because I wanted to say all this stuff because we have been maybe being too negative. But I think that I mean, every game they've gotten better and better, and all of our complaints in the first couple of games have been only improving. Likes has been, passing the ball better. He's had more assists each game. He passed the ball better tonight. They've been taking less stupid shots. I mean, with the exception of the 3-point shooting, which I just don't think they have
Mhm.
apparently.
Well,
But
it's sitting there on the bench, and Jackson Robinson and KK Robinson. Your shooters have the last name Robinson, and they're both sitting on the bench. And I trust Muss. I have no doubt that there's a reason for that, and I'm guessing the reason is don't know the sets as well, don't know the defense as well. It's just a trust thing on the defensive end, I would think.
yeah, yeah, and I mean the big guys are still playing great, and they're kind of taking turns. I mean, like I thought it was encouraging that tonight. I mean, in a way that Tony, that might have been his worst game. Like he
Yeah,
didn't play bad. He still was like very aggressive on the boards and stuff. But
he played really aggressive early, got a lot of rebounds early to
yeah,
kind of keep us in it. But yeah, he
but
didn't.
he wasn't really he wasn't a big part of the game.
Amude didn't do
And
much.
I find that encouraging that you can have him, that you don't have to have him have his best game, and you can still be fine.
Yeah, well, Jalen Williams can all of a sudden have 15 points. Jalen Williams played great, by the way. Jalen
Mhm.
Williams always plays great.
Mhm.
Does Jalen Williams have bad games?
Not really, but I mean that was particularly good tonight.
Yeah, but like you're never like Jalen just didn't play well tonight. Like because he's always going to do all the things that you need him to do. I mean, dude, he had a behind the back pass that
To
was
both guys.
yeah,
It was whoever could get there first. It was
yeah,
Note and Devo were both diving, and they knocked each other over. It was,
yeah. That pass was sick though, dude. That's just on the money. I
mhm,
can't tell you what I would give to be able to pass the ball as a big guy, which I don't know people about it. I don't know. People don't know. I am a big guy, not big but tall. Uh, dude, I mean, his vision is just sick with that, and he could
mhm.
actually do it. He could see it and then actually do it. Jalen was great. He's like, I gotta get one drawn charge into this game. I refuse to have a game where I don't draw a charge, so I'll just do it at the end.
Yeah, and like I said too, the last game when it first came on, I was sitting there, and I actually said to my wife, I was like, because like I said, we've kind of almost been like, are we the best? Are we the top 10 team in the country? Is that possible? We don't look like it to us. But regardless of that ranking being too high or not, apparently at this point, like I said, I'm like, well, we keep winning. We're 8-0. It's kind of insane. And I said to my wife, I was like, I honestly kind of can't believe that we're a top 10 ranked and we're 7-0. Like
Well,
it's
yeah.
been
It's what was weird is that we're now ranked 12th, so we dropped 2 spots after winning 2 games. But I think that just we
I
played
think that
our
was because Gonzaga lost.
yeah.
And I
It was
mean,
just,
top 10 teams, when they lose, they obviously don't, especially in basketball, don't fall that far. And they had to reshuffle.
yeah, things shuffled
And
around. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter at this point. Yeah, you go into this game 8-0. You leave this game 9-0. I mean, you gotta love it, man. I mean, if you can, I mean, I'm looking forward to the Oklahoma game. I mean, but if you can go undefeated, non-con, going into the conference, I mean, what else do you want? And I'm sure Musselman has got all his complaints, and I'm sure he's as critical as anyone, I'm sure, of his team. But I'm sure if you were talking to him, he's like, I don't know what you want. Like it's 9-0, man. Like that's what he has this thing because he was kind of being whiny and his and Danielle Musselman, his wife, told him, that's it. There's like no more coming home grumpy after wins. Like you can come home grumpy after losses, but we're not doing this. You being all pissy at home after you win. And that's probably good advice. Like, hey, no grumpy wins. Okay. Like if you haven't lost yet, like, then don't be too, you can be critical. You got to get better. There's always things to improve on, but you can't be overly upset. You won. And
like I said, the caveat,
winning basketball games is hard. It's hard to win 9 basketball games. If you played 9 basketball games, it's hard to do.
Yeah, and like I said, I actually still feel like, even though I know these last 3 games haven't been that great a competition, I still feel like there's been some good competitive ball players on those teams, and I feel like some of our other non-conference games have been good teams that will be in the tournament and are going that they'll in their own right win a lot of games this year. But yeah, I think the guy the last game said that the last time Arkansas was ranked in the top 10 was in 1997 with Nolan Richardson. Is that possible?
I think so. Yeah.
Dude, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I believe last year we started the season out 8-0, but yeah, we just went 9-0, which is different.
Right. And the thing is, like, caveats, I do think this team is very capable of losing a couple of games, especially when the conference teams get super competitive. I think because of everything we've been talking about, they're going to be, all the games are going to be likely down to the wire. Not all, but a lot of the games are going to come down to the last couple of minutes. And when that's the case, you could lose 3 in a row, you could win 5 in a row. And it's like, and I remember a few years ago, I think we were 7-0 to start the season, or maybe 6-0, and then we went we lost 5 out of 7 or something like that. In conference, and we still ended up having an okay season. But like, you could lose a bunch of games in a row with this team.
You do feel better with Musselman on the bench for some reason, though, in those things. I mean, you do feel like if it's a tie game with 2 minutes left, for some reason you feel like you got a real good shot. Whereas in past years, I felt like if I had to bet everything that I own on it, I'd probably bet the other way. And that's not the case anymore. And Musselman is good at finding ways to win games. I love the fact that no matter who you're playing, and obviously you're going to get into conference play and you're going to play, good teams. But I guarantee you that every coach, when Arkansas comes into their building, or whether they're coming to Bud Walton, is telling them, you guys better be ready to bring it, because you are about to enter a straight up dogfight.
Yeah.
Because I do know this about this team. If you don't come to play against Arkansas, you will get beat. And by play, I mean, you better get ready to block out. You better get ready to scrap, because that's the kind of team this is. And if you play soft, I think Arkansas will definitely beat you.
Yeah. I will say, I think Arkansas, we haven't been behind a lot. You know what I mean? We were behind a couple of games early, but like, I don't feel great about our chances of, if a team jumps on us early in a game and jumps to a 15-point lead at some point. I don't love the dynamic of our team for a comeback. You know what I mean?
Other than the fact that it does seem that when this team decides to lock it down, or they just decide they're going to pressure your guards, because Note has turned into such a good defender, and Diva already was such a good defender. If we would decide we want to apply pressure to the guards, it does seem like we can do that, and it does look like hell out there when they decide to do it. Yeah,
we've got half of what you need. We've got good defense and good, hot hands. But I'm saying, like, if you're down by 15 and it gets under 10 minutes in the game, and like you start to realize you're going to have to put up some points, like, in a hurry.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Is Arkansas is not going to be able to come back because they're just going to go on a flurry of threes. I mean, Note can get hot and do that every once in a while, but no, the way that Arkansas can come back from being down 10 or whatever is by turning you over a bunch and getting dunks on the other end.
Yeah, they'll have to do that. Yeah, dude, I don't know if you noticed, but Note, speaking of his perfect game, he had 10 rebounds.
10 rebounds. Yeah.
Man, he just needed a couple of more somethings, and he would have had a triple double.
Well, I mean, okay, so I'll say this: like, I thought Williams played great. I thought Devo was great. I mean, Devo was 7 of 12. He had 18 points. He had 8 assists. I mean, dude, if I get 18 points and 8 assists, 4 rebounds from Devo, I mean, dude, sign me up for that. So I think Note is the player of the game, and I'm going to give it to him because he had blood on the front and the back of his jersey somehow. So I don't know whose blood it was, but someone's bleeding, and he's got that blood on the back of his jersey and the front of his jersey. They never stopped the game for anybody. I don't know what's going on, but despite the fact that normally I would say, like, if Devo is going to give you 18, 8 and 4, that you're probably like locking up player of the game with those numbers, 8 assists and 18 points. That's pretty good. But not if Note is going to give you 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 steals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just needed six more steals for his triple double.
How you going to be giving me? How you going to do 4 steals and 10 rebounds on top of your 23 points? I mean, you can't play better than that.
No, I mean, some of those rebounds is like I was noticing, like he was turning around at the 3-point line, and a couple of those long balls just like came to him, but still, like,
not 10 of them.
6 or 7 of those were just good point guard rebounding.
Yeah. So yeah, Note's great.
Dude, our guards both I do love our guards because they are long and they both rebound, and like I said, they're aggressive on the ball. They both get steals. Yeah, I mean, Likes is obviously different, but by
the way, Likes really, really, Likes had 13 points, but those are really important 13 points, because what Likes is good at doing, and he did this in the first half particularly, like, we just needed a little something, and Likes came in and gave you a little something. Like, Likes, when he's playing well, he always gives you that sort of offensive juice right when you kind of needed it, and he goes on. He's a spurty kind of player, and I thought Likes was great tonight. I mean, that's exactly the kind of role you want from him. He went 5 of 8, and had 13 points. If I can get him coming off the bench as 6 man, giving me 13 points, shooting 5 of 8. He didn't have to shoot 5 of 8 every night, but take 10 shots, make 5 of them, give me 13 points. That's exactly what you need from him.
Yeah. And one thing about the way we play, that it translates to ugly games that you can always do what they're doing, which is effort. Like, now, if 3-point shooting is your thing, sometimes you have games like Tennessee had tonight.
Yeah.
Did you see that mess?
Yeah. You think our 3-point? That was the only thing that made you feel better about our 3-point shooting, when you were like, what did they go for? They went 6 of 40 something.
But the thing is, they do shoot threes. Like those guys.
We shot 13. They shot 40 of them.
Yeah, and what they make?
6.
Yeah.
We made 3 of 13. It's at one point they were 7%. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not like loving shooting 23%, but it's a lot better than 7.
Well, especially like you said, when you're relying on it, and they still managed to get to overtime and then lost. And like I said, dude, I mean, I'm not complaining anymore. 9-0 is for real.
Yeah, and I think Musselman is, and the announcers were alluding to it. That it's not that Musselman doesn't realize that they're not shooting the ball well from outside, but he likes the shots they're taking, and I agree with that. I don't think that there's a bunch of really bad 3-point shots going up. But he said, I like the shots they're taking. They are good shooters. We're just not making shots. Hopefully we have that game where a bunch of them go down, and then that's sort of the end of it, and then you kind of just even out a little bit, But it seems like it's kind of in the collective head of the team that we're not shooting the ball well from outside. But Musselman said he's fine with the shots they're taking, and that he thinks that we're a good scoring team, which is true, because you're scoring, 80 something points a game. And so I don't think he cares he's not as concerned about it as a lot of other people are, because I think he's like, we're getting the points we need. And as long as we're getting the points, it doesn't matter where they come from.
Just do it like, just go throwback. We just need to get start feeding Connor with a sky hook or something like that, and we'll just do what Bill Belichick did on Monday Night Football. We're just going to take this back by the way, 30 years.
By the way, Connor, like playing like, very limited minutes again, tonight, which was it was weird, but he's probably averaging the most points per minute on this team. I mean, he had 6 points. He probably played like 6 minutes in the game. He's probably averaging like a point a minute on the season.
Probably because that one game he had 23 and he was in 17 minutes or something like that. So he's probably averaging a point a minute.
Yeah. So, and I was actually, again, a little bit surprised that he didn't play a little more, because I actually thought he was fine. Mm-hmm. I thought he was a problem for them because.
Well, yeah, that big guy didn't seem, I mean, he pushed him around a little, but like he did okay against him.
Yeah. He went up and Connor fouled him once. And the next time he went up and Connor said, how about I just block that this time? And
well, the first time he blocked, I don't know if it was that the same guy. He blocked somebody early. I think it was that guy.
Yeah. And then you had but I mean, he's got a great touch too. Like that reverse, he had that weird reverse where he put all the English on the ball and had a couple, had 2 dunks. Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't play a little bit more, because it didn't seem like the kind of team that was I mean, they were doing a lot of backdoor cutting and stuff, but I didn't notice the defense being horrible when he was out there or anything. But maybe he can get rolling from the outside. I mean, that's the other. I mean, nobody can shoot. Like, I mean, Connor, who usually shoots a really high clip because he doesn't shoot a ton.
Has he made one all year?
He made some of the. Like, I think he made some of the in that game where he had 20 something points. But
good Lord, yeah.
Like nobody can make. I mean, JD Note had. Like they did the ball movement, and he had one where he was wide open in the corner, which last year would have been like layup. And just can't. Likes shot one straight over the side of the rim. I mean, he also made one, but it's pretty clinky. I mean, did you notice a couple of times Devo dribbled in like a foot and a half and did a pull-up shot when he could have shot 3. He did it 2 different times where he declined the 3 to take a 18-foot jump shot.
I know. Yeah,
but that's when something's in your head, where you're just like, I'm not taking that 3. I'd rather take this shot right here. That's like that. There's something going on there, because most guys in this day and age, you're taking that 3.
Yeah, like I said, it felt old school. Did you see that Monday Night Football game?
Which Monday Night Football game?
Yesterday.
No.
Oh, you were on an airplane, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, what I was saying about Bill Belichick was last night they beat the Bills and they ran the ball, or they completed 2 passes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They threw the ball 3 times the whole game. The Patriots
just ran it down their throat.
They just ran it was like it was like football from 1978 or something like that. They just ran it in.
Like watching a 6th grade football team that just runs the ball.
And it wasn't like wildcat, like reverse wheel route. It was like hand the ball to the back, right up the middle, 3 yards. They did it all night. I mean, it was because there was like 30-mile-an-hour winds with like 50-mile-an-hour gusts. So it was like impossible to throw the ball. I mean, even though Buffalo tried plenty of times and had a little success, but they just didn't want to put their quarterback, in a compromising position, I guess. And it was working. So, I mean, they scored 14 points and that was enough.
That's how we're doing it. So we score 80, but it's good.
We score 80 in 2s and 1s.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean, if you don't know me and Jake, that's exactly how we win all basketball games that we play. So we should be down with it.
Slow. Yeah. We don't win any games fast.
No, I mean, and that's the other thing about Arkansas is they do play fast. Mm-hmm. They just play fast getting 2s. Mm-hmm. And they play fast in the sense that, this is my ideal sort of team that I love is you don't get any second chance points, no offensive rebounds for you. You get 1 shot and then we get the rebound, but sometimes we get extra shots because we get all those rebounds too. I love it, man. And so any criticism of the shooting is just that, you're worried that down the stretch you might need to put some 3s in at some point. But other than that,
I'm more worried.
I love the grit of the team.
my main worry is that somebody that's really defensive minded, once there's enough tape on this Arkansas team,
Just gonna
you know,
pack
which
it
there
in.
which there is now, that some of these conference coaches that just get to play you and they're focused on that, uh, and they're watching all of the your first games, that they're going to figure out a way to make us have to shoot. You know what I mean? Just leave
Well,
everybody
I
but
think
Note open.
I think that's where the ball movement is so important. I think that the ball movement has been so good. I don't know that Arkansas is a team where you can double people. I think initially in the beginning of the year, I was nervous that you could possibly double Note and really mess Arkansas up. If you try to double Note now, you've made a mistake. You can't do it because he's too willing of a passer now. And the one thing that is true about the rest of the guys on the floor is they can all score. You know, I mean, who are you going to leave? You can't double, and they're good at diving in the basket, and yeah, and the ball movement's been great. I mean, like their assist, like the amount of shots that they make that there is assists on is through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that does make it a problem.
If it were me, though, I mean, I wouldn't double, but I would just tell my players, don't let Note shoot. You know, don't leave him wide open. But I would bring my defense. Whereas now, I mean, we've talked about this. Like I don't even know how people play defense anymore against like NBA teams, because the way they can shoot, the range is you have to pick them up at half court basically, and you're so spread out that. And you have to be so in the guy, like we've talked about, you can't be in the guy's face. You have to be there before he shoots it, which means he can dribble around you. So the defenses have been extended so far out that there's all kinds of space. Whereas if I was coaching against Arkansas, I'd move that defense way back, and I'd be like, we're going to contest the threes. Well, you know, but we're packing it inside, so that passing is way more difficult. You know what I mean? Like where those passing lanes have hands and arms all over them, and when they kick it to the outside, we're going to not let them shoot, but that's the shot we're going to be diving out at until you make a bunch of them. We're not going to be standing in the pocket with you like you're Steph Curry if you shoot that badly.
That's where the benefit of Arkansas's best play is shooting the ball and letting someone else go get it and put it back in becomes a problem.
Definitely is an asset to be able to rebound.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and we'll see how that happens. What goes on when you're playing against, you know, similar caliber athletes, but rebounding is a lot of want to, and so I mean, and it seems like they want to.
The one good thing I'll say this year, and I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched, you know, handful of different college teams, all the good games that have been on, so the top 10 teams, and it doesn't appear to be that team. Like some years you'd look at Arkansas, this team, you go, well, we're maybe 10th in the country, but I mean, there ain't no frickin' way we're beating Duke and Kansas and Kentucky. They got 6 NBA players on those teams. You know what I mean? And while they still have NBA players, there's not like a Zion Williamson or one of those goddamn Kentucky teams that has 6 NBA players on it all at one time. And everybody looks like, I wouldn't say beatable, but like not as scary as some years. You know what I mean? Some years there's just a definitive top 4 teams. And it's like, well, there's them and then there's the rest of us. This year it feels a little bit more open.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a team so far that I'm like, well, that looks like a team that's going to work harder. I haven't seen that.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're going to win every game, but it does. I do look at Arkansas, and I've watched some pretty good teams, you know, top 10 teams play, and at the very least, you're like, well, if we came into town, you're going to have to work for it, because I don't see anyone putting out any more effort than Arkansas is putting out. So, all right, well, we'll leave it there, and yeah, man, Oklahoma coming up. I'm excited for that one. That's a big one. You know, neutral site game in Tulsa. So out of Bud Walton against a, you know, top, you know, a Power 5 conference team that's got a good record. And so I think that'll be a good test for us. And so we'll be back after that game, man.
All right. Sounds good, dude. See ya.